Have you found that as you're getting older, your eyebrows are literally disappearing, especially the outer edge? There's hardly anything growing anymore. Well, I'm Judy from Judy D Beauty, and I've got some answers for you. I know that the same thing is happening to me, and I'm going to show you what to do about that. So I've got some cleansers here, and I've done both my eyebrows, and I'm going to take one off and show you a few answers to doing your brows. So I'm going to take it off and start from scratch. So I've got these Uriage cleansing pads that are super gentle, and I've done a review in my newsletter on them because I do love them. So there we go. Everything is off now, and I'll just dab with a little cotton swab here to let it dry. So you'll see what my eyebrow looks like, or what's left of it without anything on it. There we are. You can see the one that's done and the one that isn't. You see, I almost have half a brow. There's not much left there. So I want to show you using a couple of different techniques. So first of all, how do you even know where to start it and where to finish off and how to do a nice arch? So there's a couple of favorites that I have. One of my favorites is this Diorshow brow pencil. So if you can see it here, it's a Diorshow brow pencil. Now the reason I like it is because you want a nice dry lead. If the lead is too moist or too creamy, it's going to smudge when you touch it. You want a nice dry lead. So, and it's a little swivel up lead, and on the other side of it here, you've got a little spoolie. And a spoolie brush is like a mascara wand. That's what that's called. So that's one of my favorites. I've been using this for a while, and then I've just treated myself to an Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's called BROWS. So that is another little swivel up brow color with a spoolie on the other end as well. So I did this brow here with my Diorshow, but I'm going to do this one. It's a very similar color with the Anastasia. Both are excellent. So where are we going to start? So you don't want to, first things first, you don't want to swivel it up too much because it's a very, very, very thin little lead in there. So what I like to do is go just where my nostril starts, right here, and with a straight line up, just make a line, a little dot. So it goes straight up to the brow, and I make a little dot right there, like a little line, and that's where the brow is going to start. So I just mark it there, which is fine, and that's basically where it's going to start, and then where the arch is going to peak. So then what you do is go from the nostril to the edge of your iris, and then you're going to make a dot right at the tip there. So you're just going to put a little dot right there, and you're going to follow that dot when you start, and then where is it going to end? So then you go from the end of your nostril right here, and you imagine this line from the end of your eye is going to continue up, and the line of your brow is going to continue down, and it's going to go just like that. And so we're following, and where that ends, make a little dot, and that's where your brow is going to end, right there. So we've got 3 little dots to follow, just there. Perfect. So then you're just going to be using very, very little strokes. So I like to just go tiny little strokes and do a little bit of a base. So I'm just following in with a little bit of a base, straight along. And then I almost do almost like a straight diagonal line up in this area here on the inside edge of the brow. And then it's almost like a straight, little strokes, but almost like a straight line up to that little dot we first made. So then, just check to see that it's still staying in line with the other brow. But remember, they're not twins, they're sisters. They don't have to be exactly alike. And then from the point that you made here, you're just going to follow down. Because you have made those little guidelines, it makes it quite easy to follow. And just little tiny strokes. So it's basically looking fairly similar to the other one. And you're just going to fill in what you've just done with little tiny strokes. Now there is something called brow powder as well. Now you can fill in the brow, and then with a little spoolie you just kind of blend it all in like this. Because then if you have a little line that you've done a bit too harshly or a bit too dark, you just use this little spoolie brush and it blends it in just so perfectly, and there's really not a mistake to be made. So you're just filling it in just gently. See, little tiny feathered strokes, just like that. So that's with a nice dry pencil. So we can finish that off like that. So that's with a dry pencil. That's all good. There is something else as well. That's by Urban Decay. They have a cute little brow set. And it comes with the tiniest little tweezers and the tiniest little spoolie separately, and a cute little brush. You can see it right here. And what you need to have is a nice stiff little brush if you're using a brow powder, an angled stiff brush. Here's the little spoolie that comes with it, and here's their cutest little tweezers. Look at that. So that's by Urban Decay, and I'll show you the little kit that comes with it. So that comes with a brow wax as well as 2 colors that you can mix. So that's what it looks like there. So if you're using a brow wax, we can still add to what I've just done. You would take your little stiff brush, put it in the powder, in the wax, sorry, and then you just apply it along the bottom here, and you're just outlining what you've just done. This is if you were starting from scratch, but it's nice if you don't want to fill in the whole thing with a pencil, you can do it with the powder as well. And then what'll happen is, after you've put the wax on, the powder will adhere to it, and the hairs will stick better too. So then you take, I'm going to take the lighter of the 2 colors and just put my little tiny brush and get loaded up with some of the color, and I just like to tap it down on my hand, as I always do, and then just apply some of the color, just very lightly, just going over what I've just done, and just feather little feather strokes. You see, there we are, and I can just apply some to the other one too, because it's a little darker now. And I'll just even it out a little bit color-wise. But you see, there's not a heavy hand to be had. It's just very lightly, very gingerly almost. And you just go with the tiniest little strokes. And because it's a powder, it looks quite natural. And it's just filling in what you've just done. And then I'm going to get the little tiny Urban Decay spoolie brush and just go on like that, and just blend everything in nicely. There we are. See, they're looking pretty even now. But that's using the wax, and then I kind of mix the 2 colors together to get quite a natural look. So then, the other thing that you can use as well, there's a long comb pencil that I like as well. This one you have to sharpen, and if you're going to use a pencil, a lot of times I like to get a shade lighter than your own brow color, and they have a little spoolie brush as well. So that's a nice one, especially if you're a blonde. It's really hard to find a nice blonde neutral color that's not too red or not too ashy. This color is actually a really nice one. It's called, which one is this one? This one is taupe. So if you're light-haired or blonde, this one is an excellent one for you for blondes. And also, I can even use this one. It'll actually fill in my brows, and it'll not look darker, but it'll just fill in the gaps, and I can still get away with it. Now there's another product by Stila that is a waterproof one. This one you have to be a little more careful with because it's like a liquid liner. See the nice fine point? But if you have to do any swimming, or if you're going to be, you know, anything where you need to have waterproof, this is great. But you do have to be a little careful with it because it is waterproof. But what you can do, I'll just show you on the edge here, just little tiny strokes. And you see, I have a color that's a little bit lighter, but just tiny little strokes. And you can see here, it's just perfect. And I'll do the other side too, just to even it out. But waterproof eyebrow color. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And so you can go all through your brow, filling it in with tiny, tiny hair-like strokes. And it just is wonderful because you can go to the gym, you can go swimming, you can do almost anything, and you can touch your brows and they're not going anywhere. See that? Perfect. So now, to have that really nice look like you see in magazines and all that, where you have a really fine line, what you need to do to achieve that look is you get a little bit of a concealer, and then you go just underneath the brow with the concealer, and you get a nice brush that's not too soft, that has a little bit of a stiffness to it. And then you're just going to go underneath your brow with a concealer, and just on top. See where it sort of gives it more definition. Just right along the edges. And then you'll blend it in. But it gives your brow that really nice definition and more of a clean cut look. Because underneath your brow you can use your highlighter. So I'm just going to blend that in. You can use a concealer, but there's also, I'll show you another little trick. It's like a highlighting pencil, and it also can be used in the waterline just inside your eye to brighten things up. You can have a double use of that. So I'm just blending that in. And I'm going to go inside that, or just on top of that, a little bit of powder just with my finger for now, just to give it a nice natural look. There we go. And they look fairly even now. So now I have brows on both sides. You can see that that's there. And there is also another trick I wanted to show you. If you don't have a spoolie brush, if you can't get one, or it's not in the budget for you to have one yet, you can use a mascara wand that you have from an old mascara. Wipe it off, put it through the dishwasher, and then you've got a spoolie brush that you can brush your brows with. And if you don't have a brow gel or a wax, you can just use a little hairspray, spray it on your spoolie brush now, and then just go over, and your brows will be set in place without having to buy a spoolie brush right now if you don't have one. And there we go. So we have our brows done. I hope that helps you. The next video that I'm going to be doing is how to do a more permanent brow color. So that's something that a lot of us have a problem with. So be sure to stay tuned to that. And I hope this one helped you a little bit, because I know that I've been losing, as you saw, half of my brow, and now you can see that I have some brow there. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always open to answering, and please follow along, subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you.